Welcome back to the deep dive. You know the mission. We grab a whole stack of sources on one topic and basically give you the shortcut to really understanding it. And today, it's this amazing bit of cultural detective work. We're looking this one incredibly influential Japanese story, super iconic, brutal, philosophical, and we're going to track how it spread, from manga to films, all the way to, believe it or not, 90s hip-hop.
Yeah. Yeah, the gateway for a lot of people, myself included, was the Genius album Liquid Swords, 1995. If you've heard that album, you know the sound. It's intense, cinematic, full of dread, sword fights, these philosophical warnings layered in. It really sets the tone. You know those sound samples, that really deep voice talking about vengeance right before the beat hits.
Yeah, unmistakable.
RZA sample Shogun Assassin all over Liquid Swords.
Yeah, you hear it in Liquid Sword, Duel of the Iron Mike, Fourth Chamber, I Got You Back.
It fits perfectly, right? The lone warrior, the vengeance path, the sword clangs, Digger's narration about the road to hell.
Totally aligns with the Wu-Tang vibe. Betrayal, skill, lyrical combat.
Exactly.
Or maybe you remember in Kill Bill Volume 2, that quiet scene where Uma Thurman and her daughter are watching an old samurai movie.
Exactly. That's the thread we're pulling today. The source of all that is what we're digging into, Kuzuri Kami. Most people in the West know it as Lone Wolf and Cub.
And we've got the key sources lined up. We're looking at the original manga, which is huge, the Japanese films from the 70s, and then that very Americanized version, Shogun Assassin, plus how it all echoed through culture.
Right. And our mission here isn't just to recount the bloody storyline of Ogami Itto, the lone wolf, and his son Daigoro. We want to unpack the stuff behind the violence.
Yeah, things like the surprising historical accuracy, the whole samurai philosophy, the Bushido code, and some really deep Buddhist symbolism that's woven into the original story.
So we're drawing from Kazuo Koike and Goseki Kojima's manga from the 70s. The details on those 6 original films, that 1980 Shogun Assassin edit, and how it influenced, well, everything from hip-hop to Tarantino.
Okay, let's get into it.
First off, the scale of the original manga, it's genuinely epic. We're talking 145 chapters. That got compiled into 28 volumes, these Tankōbon. It's massive.
Absolutely. And you have to remember where it was published. Weekly Manga Action from 1970 to 76. This wasn't like, Shun Jump for kids.
Right.
This was a seinen magazine aimed squarely at adults. That's why the original stuff is so famously graphic. Lots of violence, sexuality. It didn't shy away from darker themes.
And that context, that adult audience, it sort of sets the stage for the story's world, right? That harsh, morally gray, which makes the philosophy we'll touch on later feel even more significant.
Definitely. But maybe we should quickly lay out the actual premise, because the American version kind of skips over the why. Why are they on this bloody path?
Good point. What's the setup?
Okay, so Ogami Itto, the father, he wasn't just some wandering swordsman initially. He held a really prestigious position. He was the Kogi Kaishakunin, the shogun's official executioner, a role of immense trust and power. The whole story kicks off because of a conspiracy by the rival Yagyu clan, led by this character, Retsudo.
The old man with the white beard from the movie.
Well, yes and no. We'll get to that distinction. But in the original, he's the villain. Retsudo and the Yagyu clan frame Ogami Itto for treason. They murder his wife and basically destroy his life and honor.
And that leads to that incredibly famous, chilling moment of choice for the son, Daigoro.
Exactly. The kid's only 1 year old. His father presents him with a choice: a child's ball or a sword.
If he picks the ball.
Ogami Itto would kill him, send him to join his mother in death. If he picks the sword, he joins his father on the path of vengeance, the path of hell.
And the legend starts because the baby crawls towards the sword.
He chooses the sword, and that's the beginning of Lone Wolf and Cub.
What's amazing is, even though that core story is fictional, this quest against the Yagyu, the world it's set in, is incredibly detailed. Historically speaking, we're deep in the Edo period, right? Tokugawa Japan.
Oh, absolutely. It's grounded in that period, 1603 to 1868. And it's not just set dressing. The story really weaves in the philosophy, the values, the whole demanding code of Bushido.
You even see things like the Tokugawa family crest, the mon, in the film credits. It shows they were serious about getting the feel right.
Yeah, that historical texture is key. It anchors the whole thing, even when it gets fantastical, and it sets up the philosophical payoff later.
And the films followed pretty quickly, didn't they? Starting in 72.
Yep, 6 films between 72 and 74, mostly directed by Kenji Mizumi. The first one, Sword of Vengeance, really nailed the tone right out of the gate.
Okay, so Japan gets this epic manga and film series, But it explodes internationally, mainly because of that American adaptation, Shogun Assassin.
Right. And you have to admire the commercial savvy, I guess. In 1980, NBC had this huge hit miniseries, Shogun.
Oh, yeah, huge cultural moment.
Yeah. So these American producers, David Weisman and Robert Houston, they see this and think, aha. They grab the rights to the Lone Wolf films and smartly retitle their edited version Shogun Assassin. Perfect timing.
It wasn't just a retitle, was it? They really chopped it up.
Oh, completely. They basically took the first two Japanese films, Sword of Vengeance and Baby Cart at the River Styx, and edited them down into one 85-minute movie.
And most of it came from the second film.
Yeah, about 70 minutes of the 85 are from Baby Cart at the River Styx. They added that distinctive English narration, mostly from the kids' perspective, new music. It was a total remix for a Western audience. Distributed by Roger Corman's company, which tells you something about the target market.
Okay, now here's the part that I think blows people's minds when they find out. The crucial change they made. The villain.
This is the key difference. In Shogun Assassin, the version most Westerners saw first, the story is told through Daigoro's eyes. And he explicitly says the main bad guy is the Shogun himself.
Calls him a ruthless psychopath, brain affected by devils.
Exactly. It paints the Shogun as this direct, tyrannical force behind everything bad that happened to Ogami Itto.
But that's not the original story at all, is it?
Not at all. In the original manga and films, the actual villain, the mastermind behind the plot against Ogami Itto, is Ritsudo, the head of the Shadow Yagyu clan.
So they basically took Ritsudo, the real antagonist, and just labeled him as the Shogun for the American version.
Pretty much. They conflated the two. In the Japanese original, the Shogun is a much more remote figure, part of the political backdrop. Ritsudo is the personal driving force of the conflict. By making the Shogun the explicit villain, the American edit lost all that political nuance.
It turned a complex story of clan rivalry and honor into a simple hero versus crazy tyrants narrative.
Precisely. Much easier for audiences to grasp quickly, maybe, but a huge simplification. It's a fascinating example of localization changing the core meaning.
And that simpler, maybe more visceral version definitely made waves.
Yeah.
It got caught up in that whole video nasty panic in the UK, right?
Yeah, it did. It was banned for a while. Police were raiding video shops, which ironically probably just added to its mystique.
No such thing as bad publicity sometimes.
Yeah.
And that mystique, that raw feel, clearly resonated. Because then you get Jizza.
Absolutely. Liquid Swords in '95, those samples are just legendary in hip-hop. The opening lines, especially on tracks like Liquid Sword and Duel of the Iron Mike, it became part of the sonic landscape.
And the imagery keeps coming back. Like we said, Tarantino uses it in Kill Bill Vol. 2. He visually quotes Shogun Assassin to frame Uma Thurman's character as the new wolf protecting her cub.
It's just this incredibly potent cultural reference point now, even if many people don't know the full, complicated story behind it.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit, away from the editing and the pop culture impact, and back to that deeper layer in the original Japanese sources, that philosophy, the historical, spiritual depths.
Right, and even visually you see that commitment. For instance, when they needed a big, imposing castle to stand in for Edo Castle, the shogun's home, they used Himeji Castle, which is, it's probably the most famous castle in Japan. It's huge, beautifully preserved. You might recognize it from other films too, like Kurosawa's Ran or The Last Samurai.
So even the locations were chosen to feel authentic, to ground it.
Exactly. And that grounding extends to the spiritual elements. There's this one scene, it's really quite moving. Daigoro is looking after his father, who's badly injured. He finds some bread near a statue.
And he trades his own little jacket for it, right?
Yeah.
Leaves the jacket by the statue.
Yes. It's a small moment, but incredibly significant. Because that statue isn't just any statue. It's Jizu.
Jizu Bodhisattva.
That's the one. Jizu, meaning earth treasury. Now, in Buddhism, a bodhisattva is someone who's reached enlightenment but chooses to stay behind, essentially, to help others reach it too.
Okay.
And Jizu has a very specific role. He's seen as the protector of travelers, of mothers, and especially of children. You often see small Jizu statues, Mizuko Jizu, dedicated to children who died young or weren't born. So Daigoro interacting with Jizu, that's powerful symbolism.
And Jizu carries that staff, the shekujon, with the rings on it.
Yes, the pilgrim staff. It usually has 6 rings. Practically, the jingling sound would warn away animals on the path, but there's a deeper meaning too.
What's that?
The sound would alert villagers that a monk was approaching, giving them an opportunity to offer food or alms. It's a way for the community to practice generosity, Dana, a key virtue. And that staff, the shakujo, it's even incorporated into some martial arts, like Shorinji Kempo. So there's this link between Buddhist practice and, well, practical life, even self-defense.
Okay, so the staff is important. And those 6 rings, according to the sources we looked at, those rings tie directly into the core message about Daigoro himself.
This is where it gets really deep. The 6 rings are often interpreted as representing the 6 realms of existence in Buddhist cosmology.
6 realms, like heavens and hells.
Sort of, but maybe think of them more as states of being, states of mind, dictated by karma. And the key thing is, 5 of these realms are considered negative, or states of suffering, driven by destructive emotions or preoccupations.
Okay, so what are the 5 negative ones? How do they relate to, Ogami Ichu's path of vengeance?
Well, think about it. The sources list them as
Eternal craving, like a hungry ghost,
Right.
always wanting more, never satisfied. Think of that endless thirst for revenge.
Right.
2, ignorant outlook, the animal realm, acting purely on base instinct, on rage, without higher reasoning.
Eternal anger, the hell realm, being consumed by hatred and violence, creating your own torment, which is arguably the path Ogami Itu walks.
Makes sense.
4, overly competitive, the jealous god or Zura realm. Driven by envy, conflict, wanting to dominate others, you could say the Yagyu clan fits here.
Overly contemptuous, the god being or Deva realm. A sort of arrogant complacency looking down on others, a false sense of superiority.
Wow. Okay, so those are 5 states to be trapped in. What's the 6th realm then? The goal.
The 6th realm is the human state. This is considered the most precious realm, not because it's perfect bliss, but because it's relatively free from those overwhelming negative states. It's characterized by inquisitiveness and virtuous reasoning abilities. It's the only realm from which achieving enlightenment is said to be truly possible.
And this is where Daigoro's name comes in. This is the big reveal.
This is the core insight from the source material's interpretation. The name Daigoro, written as Kyuho, literally translates to something like Big Fifth Son.
Okay.
But the claim is that the creators intended it as a kind of mnemonic, a constant embedded warning against those 5 negative states, the Go meaning 5. His father names him Daigoro as a reminder, maybe even a desperate hope. Avoid those 5 paths of suffering. Strive for the 6th, the human path of reason and potential enlightenment.
So even though the father is trapped on the path of hell,
He names his son as a reminder of the way out. And interestingly, if you use slightly different kanji characters that can also be pronounced Daigoro, like Tisto, it can mean great enlightenment. It all points to this profound hope embedded in the child's name amidst all the darkness.
that's really something. We started with, gritty 70s manga violence and ended up talking about Buddhist cosmology and the path to enlightenment.
It's an incredible journey, isn't it? From this raw, adult-oriented story in Japan through this heavily altered exploitation film that somehow becomes iconic.
Yeah, providing the backbone for a hip-hop masterpiece and cinematic shorthand.
All the way back to this deeply layered philosophical core about human nature, suffering, and the possibility of virtue.
What strikes me most, wrapping this up, is how that name Daigoro acts as a constant question hanging over the whole brutal story.
Exactly. It's given by a father who embodies the hell realm as a warning against those 5 destructive states. The craving, the ignorance, the anger, the competitiveness, the contempt.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? In any conflict, personal or, larger scale, how often do we get stuck in one of those lower 5 realms, mistaking vengeance for justice or anger for strength?
And maybe missing that 6th state. The human potential for something more reasoned, more virtuous. Perhaps the act of exploring these stories, of trying to understand these layers, like we've tried to do here.
Yeah.
Maybe that itself is leaning into that 6th realm.
A final thought to chew on. It definitely changes how you hear those samples or see that little cart rolling through feudal Japan.